I'm just a middleman, so I'm going to hurry up and get out of the way, and Ron's going to take over. How many here have never met Ron Babbit or Adam? Never seen him? There's a few. Okay. Well, Ron and his wife Judy Babbit have been missionaries that Ridgecrest has supported for many years and have done a great job. The Contact Church in Tulsa, and if it's an area that it just puts him in the right place in the right area, and he can talk about that. But here at Ridgecrest, we're having more and more times to where we have to decide on how we help people that need help, benevolent help. And that there's a whole range of benevolent help and what we do and how we handle it. And of course, we wanted to follow the right path and do what would Jesus do. And we want to do that. And it's hard sometimes to know the exact way to do that. And I think that they have it right, or, you know, he probably got a lot of stories on that side. But they're a good example to us because they deal with helping people and helping people find God in their life. And, you know, that it's kind of you want to help people benevolence and homeless and struggles in your life, but at the same time, you want to share Jesus with them. And so that's our effort. And trying to do it right is really hard sometimes, and knowing how to do that. Ron is going to help us a little with that and give us some good advice. And I want you to always remember all of our missionaries and give them pray for them and pray for their families and the work that they do, because the work of a missionary is just tremendous. And anyway, I'll go ahead and cut it short and get out of here. So, Ron?
Hey, thanks for the opportunity to be here with you, and I don't have the button on.
As soon as I saw you, I said, there's a button. I need to pull, punch. Thanks for the opportunity, and you've probably been supporting us for almost 30 years. You believe that? 30 years there. Man. And what was the guy's name? Used to be one of the shepherds here, and he lives up at Girthy now. Guthrie.
Thomason.
And he told you guys he wanted to go up to St. Louis to visit, to see where we was hanging out, because he used to live up there in that part of the country. And so I gave him a Chamber of Commerce tour, and he was a great selling point, because he came back and told family, and that was a blessing. You know, whenever you put your eyes on anybody comes to see us and we want to, and they're interested in the work, we give them a Chamber of Commerce tour and tell them how God has moved in some lives and some hearts. And I remember I spoke at a congregation one time about the work, and a guy asked me a question. He asked a question. He said, "Do you have any success stories?" And I raised my hand. And he thought I was being a smart aleck. And I am a success story, because every time I'm involved with a life, with a family, man, I'm a success story. This afternoon, I thought I was going to be late. The clown was talking to me so much, and he and his wife are so mad at me. And so I picked up her twin daughters, and they graduated, promoted them from the 5th grade, and one of them can't read. What's she going to next year? She's going to go into middle school, and it's going to be tough. So I'm loving this family, and I sent Mom a text. I said, "Man, thanks for caring." And they took that sideways and they ran with it. I said, "You guys don't need any encouragement? That's not encouragement. We don't want any handout. It's not a handout. So I spent an hour and a half because I said, thanks for caring. I said, what if I'd have said, thanks for your heart? He said, that'd been different. What's the difference? You got to have a heart to care, big boy. But he wasn't interested in hearing that at all, was he? He wasn't interested. And so I'm spending my time, and at the end I said, hey, all right if I pray with you? And he said, what for? Why do you want to pray? But keep in mind, he doesn't go to church. He's never gone to church. And he said, I was thinking about coming to your church. I said, number one, it's not mine. Somebody else died, and it's not mine. But I was thinking about it, and I said, have you changed your mind? He said, no, I still want to come. I said, show up sometime. But anyway, but that's just the operation of Satan. All it is. How Satan operates to get us to stop and not show up and not share. Today we're talking about benevolence. What does benevolence mean? Here in our audience this afternoon, what do you think of that term benevolence? Talk to me. Well, this is a heavy piece of wood here, isn't it? Somebody put it together.
Showing love.
Showing love, that's a good one. Helping. Helping but showing love. There it is. What else? What else are you thinking? I don't like that term benevolence. You know why I don't like it? So I just did some benevolence. But it's just me personally though. I'm not telling anybody, it's just me personally. Because I don't want it to be, I want it to be what you guys said, and I want to help it with that heart. Instead of saying, well, whatever. And I don't want it to be, I want it to be a heart response. And that's hard to do. That's hard to do. Before I left, I went back to get this, we call this a snack pack. I said, man, I got to get a snack pack and take it with me. Because it's fun when some of the guys show up, men or women, and said, hey, you got a snack pack. Because we've trained them, and they tell their other buddies, you can get a snack pack over there. And I've had a motto at any time that I want that building, that contact building, that church, that whatever, that place to be where they can say, they can get help there. They point and say, hey, you can get help there. And so we had a couple of Indian guys showed up, and they walked a half a mile, and so I hang out. My other office is Brahms. Now, the reason I hang out in my other office, Brahms, because I'm after the ladies that work and the men that work behind the counter. And so this Indian gal is telling me, and she's asking me how to help her mom's uncle, and he's alcoholic. He won't do what he's supposed to. Can't get him to appointments. Can't do, and you know the list. You know everything on that list that she's sharing with. And she said, Ron, do you have any ideas how to help him? I said, tell me where he lives. Well, that clown shows up at contact, and he's telling his niece, said, man, that's a great place. And then I go back and tell that Indian lady behind the counter, or she's telling me all that, or what the uncle said. I said, there it is, that they can get help. It's because they're friendly. Because somebody comes in like him, he's an alcoholic, and you can tell it. And I'm not being critical, okay? Because this guy I was talking about a while ago, said, man, you're judging us. I said, how do you figure I'm judging you, big boy? He said, because you said, thanks for caring. So we want handouts. They got evicted, and they're living, there's a motel in Tulsa, and now that is solid full of people who've been evicted from wherever, and they need a place, and all they have is a room, and there's 4 of them. So they got 2 beds, and that's their life. And so I'm immediately thinking, hey, I can take some things over there, but they don't want it. They don't want a handout, because they can't cook and do things like we can in our homes. They need some help. We don't want a handout. Well, now I'm cautious. You hear me? And the same way in that in that arena of helping people, sharing love, I'm cautious. But I don't want to be so cautious that I don't do anything. And because he said, you need to let us know when you're coming. See, you're being disrespectful because you didn't let us know that you're coming. That's being disrespectful. You just showed up. See, another flag? You showed up. I read in the book, that's what Jesus did all the time. That's why I love that story in John chapter 4. He just showed up because he was thirsty. And I love what happens in that situation in John chapter 4. And you guys remember, you can quote it. And Jesus is worn out by the trip. And a woman of Samaritan, you know the difference in a Samaritan and a Jew. And immediately this gal says, the Samaritan woman, taken aback, said, how come you, a Jew, are asking me, a Samaritan woman, for a drink? Because they wouldn't be caught dead. They would not be caught dead with a Samaritan. But who shows up? The Savior. And then it said, I remember, she calls him a Jew, and then the next one she calls him Sir. Okay, now the reason why I'm sharing that with us, because that has to do with us sharing in benevolence, caring, helping of what's taken place in that individual's life. And I have fallen in love with some of these people that show up. And then they move. And in our situation at Contact, we have a clown there that made this lady mad. Made her mad. Well, I need to step in. Well, he's on the wrong seat on the bus. I'm just telling you that. He doesn't need to be on that seat on the bus of doing this kind of helping. Because he's sick and tired of her. He's tired of her. She's nasty. She's bad. But man, she can quote the Bible. And then I called her, so I changed her name. I changed names on a lot of people. I started calling her Agnes. And she said, I'm not Agnes. Guess what happened over time? Because she found out that I care about her swinging bones, and I'm helping her best I can. There's that helping. And I said, hey, Agnes. And she says, I'm Agnes. How'd that happen? You hear that compassion that Jesus did to that woman at the well, of a Jew not supposed to be with that Samaritan? And I think that's the bottom line. And what happens is, we don't have time. I don't have time because they show up when? So it takes some special servants to do that. Amen? We all know that. It takes some special servants who have time. And sometimes they may not show up until when? And never know when they're going to show up. Because their time clock and their schedule is altogether different of going to work. Because we had a clown and I let him sleep. We had a hangover. We have carported on both sides of our building. And so there's a little old cove before you get into the door. And so I let this clown sleep right there, and I said, hey, you clean up your mess, big boy. Well, he started walking. He started writing on the door. He started painting on the brick. And he wouldn't pick up his trash. And so I told him, I said, hey, Slick, all I ask, clean up your mess. Because we can go around in the city, in Midwest City, in Oklahoma City, and we can go to any city and we find out all the what? The mess. No respect. I said, Hoss, you can stay here. You got to clean up your mess. So the Popo came to see us one time because there was some thievery around and thought maybe we might have some evidence that we can help them out because they're looking. I said, can I ask a favor? Would you go right over there, tell that clown he's got to leave for good. So he was leaving. He came to the double doors and he's calling me everything that he can think of. And I said the same thing. Who was it said a while ago? Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, big boy. But I still see him around. He still comes back. He's cleaning up. But how long is that going to last? So what we do is we give him a we give them a snack pack. And we tell them food bank, we have food bank every Thursday morning, goes from 10 to noon. They're lined up at 8:30, 8 o'clock. They're lined up. And they've got the cars, and because they're passing the word, and you'll open the trunk of their car, and it's full of food that they've already got at the other organizations. And they drive better cars, but I'm not going to judge them in that situation. Then they'll come back later and say, hey, you got a snack pack. So I'm going to do what I can, say, really? And sometimes we'll go to the pantry, and I'll load them up some sacks of food, sometimes. You know, it's a judgment call on that. Every time it's a judgment call. And I don't like in that, but because when I left, I said a while ago, when I went back to get this, it was a guy in a wheelchair, and he'd asked us a long time ago if we had a wheelchair, because he's a homeless fella. Very, very, very kind. And so hollered at him, you know, from here to that wall from me. He said, hey, you got a snack pack? I said, yes, sir, I'll be right back. Gave him a snack pack, and he thanked me. He's always very appreciative, always very grateful. That's the fun part, isn't it? When they're very grateful. And he's very handicapped with his legs. That's why he needed a wheelchair. And so we got to help that, but we never know, because I know what he says about that church. And he's been there one time, and we've had some drunk people that come to our service, and some of our members, they'll say, hey, Ron, what are you going to do about that guy? I said, leave him alone. Leave him alone. If he gets crazy, if he does things out of line, tell me. I'll put my arm around him and help him walk out the door. But I don't want to make a scene, because I remember the guy that we used to help a lot, and he's a cardboard man. He has a sign, cardboard, and he showed up. Then I used to build a relationship with him, and I'd pick him up under a bridge. Got him a sleeping bag on that bridge, and I called him Mo, M-O. His first name, Mark, the letter O, outdoorsman. I don't call them homeless, I call them outdoorsmen, because they choose that. They choose to live that way, so I just call them outdoorsmen. They enjoy it, they like it, and because they don't want to work. Some of them don't, some of them can't. I don't know the story, one of them has a different story. But anyway, I called him, and one time he walked down the aisle, and we got some steps there, and he's up there on his hands and knees, and on his elbows, and he said, Mr. Ron, I used to come here for the donuts. We used to do that, we don't do it anymore. And used to come for the donuts. He said, now I come to hear the message, to worship God. He sent a message to us the other day. He said, I got my own place, I got my own house. He's living in a shed out behind his ex-woman that he was shacking with. He's living out there in that shed. And she'd let him come in, use the facility, but wintertime out there in that shed. And I said, man, and what does that do to his paradigm of how he views us? Because none of us in that situation want to come across like we're better. None of us do. I don't care who we are. I don't care, whoever the one that's handing out the snack pack, we never want to come across, I'm better than you, big boy. I don't want them to say. I don't want them to have that thought. I don't want Satan to feed them with that thought that we're better, because we're not. Saved by the blood of the Lamb. And we're all saved by the blood of the Lamb. And so what I want to leave with them, I want to pray, read the Word if they let me, and pray if they let me, because sometimes they may not. But anyway, they come, like a lot of people, we'll feed 100 folks on Thursday morning. And the one thing that they say, man, they give good food over there. Because a lot of places not everybody can do that. Not everybody can do that. And that's a huge blessing. But anyway, when I think about benevolence, I like the word helping and showing that love, and just call it a kindness ministry. And every one of us want to show kindness. Every one of us. Don't care who we are, we want to show kindness. And some been beat up, some been hurt and abused, but we want to show kindness. And so that's been my goal, is to make sure my heart is right and not make them feel like he doesn't have time to mess with me. And above all, we try to read the Word with them. And you never know what's going to happen there, do we? Try to read the Word. Because I want to leave them with, and that guy I was telling you about today, you know, he was asking me, he said, why do you want to pray? So the good part about it is, I said, well, let me read the Word. He said, okay. And but he never did say he'd let me pray. But I'm going to come back. But next time I go back, I'm going to call and run the interference. I'm going to call everybody that I need to call and text everybody I need to, so he'll be satisfied, so I can build trust, because that's what I lost. And so I've got to build that trust back, and that's what we're doing anytime somebody needs some help, is build trust with them. How long does that take? Here's some educators. Y'all don't know anything about trust, do you? Somebody stick them out in the hall and then forget them and go home. I mean, you ever heard of that? And then come around and showing pictures of this clown that was in our kindergarten class. He's now 50 years old. Not quite. But how encouraging is that? See that picture? Said, hey, miss, you still teaching? That's what we want when the folks come by and need some food. We have a $100 limit on motel. And so, well, how about tomorrow night? Yeah, tonight, big boy. And then what I've asked somebody else that's helping in this kindness ministry, I've asked them. Because we never know what to say, do we? We never know how much to help. And because we want to help, but how far do we go? How many nights in the motel? How many tanks of gas? And how many whatever? How many water bills do we help? And so we've got that $100 bill that we don't let them know it's a $100 bill. And so what I ask, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to work at? Are you? And that takes time. Somebody has to step up and be willing to. I had 9 boys, all elementary. I'm going to teach them how to mow grass. So I had 5, 6 lawnmowers. So I'm going to teach them how to put fuel in there and check the oil. And wasn't long, said, Mr. Ron, I got to go pee. Why'd you guys come? You guys get back on the van. You guys don't want to work. You want to make any money. You just want to be. So, no, we're hungry. Yeah, that's true right there. So I had to learn how to take them to. You said Mickey D's expensive. Take them somewhere else. You know, give them some food because they're hungry. They don't have anything to eat. So I learned a lesson. Said, hey, I need to feed them. I need to encourage them and get some work out. Because I want to teach them how to work, because a lot of these cats don't know how to work. Nobody's taught them. Number one, they don't have a dad. They have one, but maybe somewhere else they don't know. And because I'll ask them. I said, where's your dad? And so that's some of the things that I do in this kindness and benevolence. Find out their story. We have 7 interns with us this summer, which is super great. And they're all college age. And one gal graduated from Harding. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, from Harding. And I said, what happened? And we'll get some from Oklahoma Christian. But it varies. And we set up a booth for I'm getting off the subject. But we get those kids, they're one of them are kids to me. Get those kids involved in doing some benevolent kindness ministry, and we'll put them on a bus route in city. As they get on, and then we've got them going all over the city, and they sit on that bus to find out, hey, I'll give you some cookies, or just tell me a story. Tell me a story. Have those people that's riding that bus tell them a story. When they come back, we get back together and talk about it, it's amazing. It is amazing the stories that they bring back. And that's true with any kindness ministry, isn't it? You know, tell me your story, but it takes time. It takes time. Just like Jesus with that woman at the well, sir, sir. Then she calls him a prophet, and then she calls him Messiah. Man, what good news is that? Then she goes and tells her buddies, her family, and they go back, and man, she's telling everybody. And that's what happens in the kindness, benevolence. They're telling people how kind they are down at that location. So it takes time. And the hard part is say, sorry, can't help you. Can't help you. Because we're going to help this clown. The guy I told you about the sleeping out there and with the bitter cold that we had. So we take him to motel. First 2 motels, they wouldn't let him stay there. Because he tore the place up. I said, hey, Slick, what's so skinny with that? You know, and you come to us, and how do you treat people, somebody else's property? And you want people to help you. And you're going to go off cussing everybody. You know, why should anybody? And so the third place took him. Then he comes back. And so he badmouths us. Merry Christmas. And so that's part of the deal, isn't it? Part of the deal. And what I don't want to happen to us, that I don't want to help. You know, because somebody's been foolish, and I don't want to reach a point that said, forget you. I can go home to my bride. She'll love me. She accepts me every time I come in the house. And that's, anyway, this here cost maybe $5 to put it together. Got everything in there. And one of the things, the reason we got this idea, there was a church in Tulsa, they was putting these things together. And they even have a bus token in there, which is an excellent idea for where we live in Tulsa, a bus token, and maybe a couple of them bus tokens, but they'll take them to and hand them to the people who have a cardboard asking for help. And I saw one this morning or this afternoon and said, Ninja kidnapped my wife, and I need money so I can learn how to do karate so I can go back and get my wife. I've never seen one like that on that cardboard. That's a new one. So I didn't give him half a dollar. But anyway, the blessing is, do y'all have a food bank here? Access?
We have a food pantry.
Food pantry?
Food, yes.
I got in trouble at a place where I used to preach. Because people show up and need some food, man, I'd load them up. And so somebody came to me and said, Babbit, you can't give out food. You need to call us. We'll give out the food. So guess what I did? Told my secretary. I said, when they show up, because that guy who's supposed to show up, he may be somewhere fishing. Well, the people that need the food, when do they need it? Next week? So I told my secretary, I said, they show up. You go to that room because I can't go to that room. So she took care of it. Don't tell anybody I did that. Because, you know, the urgency there and the kindness, when do we want to be kind? So, well, I have to wait an hour or two before I can be kind. And so whatever you're doing it right. And so don't beat yourself up because you say, and because it's a case by case, isn't it? Every one of them is a case by case on what to do. But if you have something for them to do, say, how are you willing to do? So I got a guy, because we have vans, or run vans, and guess what happens on the inside of those vans? They get nasty. Guess what the windows look like? So I said, all right, clean them. And so we have some. Got some opportunities to mow, and some of them don't know how to mow. Some of them don't know. Here's a great story. A guy said, hey, I'll do anything. I need $40. They'll tell you why they need it, but I don't know why. And no need to ask, why do you need the $40? Because they're going to tell me something. And I said, I don't have a weed eater. Used to have all that equipment. And then he walked down the street, and there's a guy that lives right over there. He asked him if he could borrow his weed eater, and the guy loaned it to him. He came over and did a weed eating job that I needed, and we gave him the $40. And I said, that guy over there, he's not even close to being a Christian. And man, he's giving kindness, and he won't hear you, weed eater, get after it. Man, that guy, and I went over to see him. I said, what's your deal, big boy? Man, that is amazing for you to loan out your equipment. You didn't know if it'd come back or not. And man, I said, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. His dad lived there, and he'd been back to see, he came back, came to visit his dad. He lived in Tulsa, came to visit his dad. His dad was dead, been dead a couple weeks. But his dad, I have basketball goals set up. Kids are playing basketball, and they're trying to tear up our goal. My man that lives over there comes out there, said, hey guys, you need to quit tearing up equipment. Get on down the road. He said, what are you going to do about it? Fill in the blank what he said. What are you going to do about it? He said, I'll show you. Went back in the house. He got a shotgun. He fired it in the air. I mean, those guys took off. But where that cat grew up in that house, all from his house all the way to the river, that's where he hunt and fish. All the time. He said, I grew up right here. That's my grandparents' house. And he said, and so he's the guy, he wouldn't come to church. You couldn't talk to him about God. But he loved us because of what was going on, and protected anything we had. And I said, man, you're a blessing, big boy. You hear kindness in that story? He had kindness, because he didn't like these guys tearing up our stuff. And so that kindness goes, and occasionally we'd give him, he didn't come to the food bank very often, but when he did, man, we've got a guy showing up at the food bank, and he's about this tall. He said, Ron, there's 12 that live in our house, and he's naming the kids that are married, or shacking together, or doing something, and they don't work. And the reason he comes to the food bank is because we helped him several times to provide food for all those folks. He said, I want to come back and serve. But he won't come to church. I said, how come you won't come here, big boy? You come here on Thursday. And every time I see him, he comes up and gives me a big old hug. I said, what's your deal? So I've got a good relationship with him that I can say that to him. And but anyway, he's planting good seed with those folks that are showing up, and they drive up in the car, and he's planting good seed with them, because one thing we do, provide food and pray with them. And so he's doing the same thing now. He's a hard worker. And I said, and he said, one of these days I'll show up. So the clown was looking for he needed to do some community service. Back to the benevolence kindness, okay? He needed to do 60 hours of community service because he did something stupid. And so the judge said 60 hours of community service. Well, he didn't have any connection. We're talking about an unchurched fella. Well, the guy lived across the way in the apartment complex told him, he said, hey, go down there to this church down there, and it's down there on the corner, told him the address, and you look for that tall, white-headed guy, and you ask him to help you out. Okay, why did that guy say that? It has to do with that benevolence, that kindness, that helping, doesn't it? So the guy had started in December, but it took him 2 months to find me, because he said, hey, every time I come up there, you're not there. I said, when do you come, midnight? I'm not going to be there then, big boy. Anyway, he's a tall dude, and he's pretty tough. Anyway, he called me Rev. Hey, Rev. But the joy of the kindness, and I'm helping him with the 60 hours of community service, and he thought he was finished, which I knew he wasn't. He hadn't even done half. I knew he wasn't finished. But he said, hey, I'm through, because I took him downtown to the courthouse. He come out there, and they said, I'm finished. Hey, Rev. And he's hollered, hey, Rev, I'm finished. I don't have to do it anymore. And here's the good news of that. He had to go to the next station. The next person he had to go see, and they told him, said, hey, Slick. They didn't call him Slick. You're not finished. But he told me in between that spot and the next station, he said, I'm going to still show up every Monday because I like hanging out with you. And I told him, here's the benevolence, here's the kindness, here's the helping. I said, Hoss, we have Bible study at 10:30 on Sunday morning. I'll give you an hour. You sit there. I'll give you another hour, 2 hours on Sunday, you show up. I'll give you 2 hours toward that community service. Guess what he hasn't done? And Joe. I said, what's wrong with your elevator? It's not even moving. But I've got a relationship where I can say that to him. And so I get to knock on his door, unannounced, didn't text him, I just showed up. His brother comes to the door. And he says, you're good people. I said, what does that mean? You hear the benevolence, the kindness, the helping. These guys don't know anything about the church. But here's what I do in that arena. Working for 3 hours. Got plenty of jobs. I'll find something. I'll make something for him to do. 30 minutes, we read the Word. And one week he said, Rev, I read the Word before you take me home. How'd that happen? You hear the trust, and it's hard to do that when somebody comes by and say, and if I ask them, you willing to sit down and read the Word with me? Are you willing to read the Word with me so I can help you? So we can get a sack of groceries, so we can get a motel, so we can, are you willing to work? Are you willing to work? And so, well, what do you mean? Are you willing to work? That's the skinny big boy. And most of them are men. And then we'll have some ladies too. And because just like you guys, it varies everywhere we go, and wherever we're located. But anyway, the joy, but the trouble is our time. So guess what else I take this clown to do? I take him with me on a Bible study. And man, he said, man, I didn't know there was this good people out here. You hear that statement that he made? I didn't know these people, they're good people. And all he did, just showed up with me. He didn't breathe a word. He didn't say a word. He just listened. And he thought. Because his paradigm, somebody's taking advantage of him. Because he keeps on telling me, all of his baggage, more of that's coming up all the time. But when he said, man, there's good people out there. Man, I'm thankful he got to experience that there's other good people out there. Does he need encouragement? Do the folks that show up, do they? And so what my goal is figure out, how can I encourage them? How can I encourage them? Because we had somebody come and speak to us. They've got credentials this long beside their name on how to treat the homeless and all of that paraphernalia, all that stuff. And the one thing they said, do not provide transportation. Guess what I'm doing all the time? What's the word? The kindness and the helping. What's the word? You know what I would guess? That cat he's not involved in the skin of those people that need what? Because I want to find out. Remember Mo? I want to find out where Mo stayed. And I find out, and next week he's gone, but I'd still find him, and he's holding up his card somewhere. I rolled down my window, I said, what you doing, Mo? And you're going to love this. He said, I'm working. I said, cornbread. I'm working, but that was his. But the beautiful part, he sent back word, said, hey, is Ron Babbit still there? Tell him, I'd like to get a ride to come to church. But he lives way east, and that's tough. Be just like you guys going to Bethany to bring somebody over here, and that makes it tough. That somebody lives at Bethany and they worship here, but then, hey, unless that happens. But the kindness The kindness, and you got people that are on the right seat on the bus that are showing that kindness. That's the deal. And you may want to do the snack pack. Said, hey, we can give you a snack pack today. Or, whatever you guys, anybody criticizes how we do it, come and help me. I love talking to retired school teachers. Because I tell them I go to school. You know what some of them tell me? Ain't no way you're going to no school. I said, come go with me. Guess what they haven't done? Because I'm walking the halls at the high school, and I got to go through the metal detector to get in there. I just tell them, I'm going to go see Coach Becker. And so I've got a green light, and I'm walking in the hall because one of our gals is going after somebody, and she's going to put the hurt on them. She's going to beat them up, and I need to get over there because we provided food for that family, and I know how much hatred is in that house, in that apartment. And so I know what's going on. So I took Dad over there because the daughter got suspended because she's beating everybody up. And the dad comes out of the counseling, and he said, Pastor Ron, you be proud of me. I didn't cuss anybody today. Is that a victory? That is for him. Because you know what he did? He said, because every time he'd go to that school, he cussed everybody. I don't care. Kid, janitor, teachers, administration, he's cussing them all. I said, what's your deal? He said, I'm reading the Word. How do you get started reading the Word? Because I show up and I wake his bones up, because we brought some food over there, wake his bones up, and we read the Word, and we pray, and I leave. That's the fun part of the benevolence, helping. That's the fun part, when we get to do that. Don't always get to do that. Of that showing up, because I always call it showing up. You guys have some questions. I know you do. I didn't cover everything.
What's a clown?
I'm sorry?
What's a clown?
Like me. I just call them clowns and darlings because we're all a bunch of clowns.
Okay.
We mess up. We do something crazy down the road, and I just call them.
He's famous for renaming people.
Oh,
This guy right back over there, Wes Mathis, would you give him a name? Something we can hang on. Wes and April, I want to tell you that Wes and April, his wife, they're by him. They've done an excellent job trying to work with us here. They've been here, how long y'all been here now? Year?
it's a little over a
A
year.
little over a year.
Amen.
Anyway, I think he needs a name.
How come he wants to give you a name?
April said she's got some suggestions.
April does? Can those be shared? Probably not tonight.
Like provider.
Yes, that was it.
So I had to train some of our members because, I mentioned a while ago, there'd be somebody up there that's drunk, and you walk by and you can smell it, and then somebody will say, Babbit, you want me to get them out of here? I said, no. I said, I don't know why they came. They may not know it. I don't care. I don't care. I'm going to show kindness. I'm going to help. And there may be a way that I can help. And so I want to pay attention. And then when I'm going to show up, I'm going to pay attention, and I'm going to resolve, and that's the area of kindness in it. I'm going to resolve to make a difference. Resolve. And I don't know why I call them clowns. It just...
I like your snack pack idea, because we've had a food pantry that was pretty good size. It was a little room. It had a lot of stuff in it. And every year we'd have half of it that would go bad.
Yeah.
We'd end up throwing it away because it was old, and
Yeah.
we'd have to be careful about expired dates and giving stuff out. And a lot of people, there were some people that would come and they'd say they wanted food, they really didn't want it. And then the same old stuff that was in there they wanted money, but the same old stuff in there, it was like some people even said, I don't want that.
Yeah.
And so that, to me, that's more of an appropriate thing probably. Unless, like you said, everybody's individual. If it's a family and they actually need that pantry type stuff, well then, you can always go to the grocery store and do that, but doing that.
I carry $5 bills for that reason. Make a judgment call on that. The gal a couple weeks ago said, Mr. Ron, you got $5? And so I've known her for a long time. She murdered her sister. And so she's got her paradigm of what all she's seen and all she's experienced. I said, why do you need $5? She said, buy some cigarettes. And I gave her I said, you trying to quit? She said, I've quit 1,000 times. But I'm not going to. I've never had that. And because one week I'm taking her home and she wanted $18. Sorry. 2 o'clock in the morning, she left me a message. She said, Pastor Ron, I know why you wouldn't give me that $18 because I wouldn't have sex with you. Yeah, that's it. That's it. How'd you figure it out? So I blocked her bones so she can't call my hide. And I don't know if she knows that. I don't care. I'll give her $5 to go buy her some smokes. But she's been coming to contact for 20 years. And because she's been beat up in a lot of places. Not, physically and emotionally, behaviorally. And that's what happens when folks come by and need some help. And I need to be patient. In the Bible, and I don't know where it is, it talks about patience, but the message says passionate patience. Oh, man. That changes the word patience, doesn't it? If I have passionate for that, to be patient. Passionate patience. That's what educators are. And so anyway, we're blessed because somebody shows up. Somebody shows up. We had we're having a basketball camp this week. We go to the apartment complex and having a basketball camp. And what happened Monday that you guys were talking about a while ago?
Rain.
What's wrong with your garden?
Rain.
Rain.
So it was pouring rain. And so we didn't have much tenants, so we picked it up in the Park Church in Tulsa. They got a big old great facility. So we called and said, hey, can we come and use your facility? And we did. And the beautiful part about that is we got them out of their apartment complex that's bad. The sheriff's department, police department had signed contracts with the housing authority to come in there so many times and they take care of all the nasty that's going on. So they didn't re-up their contract because they're tired of going in there fighting. So it makes it tough because of all the shootings. The grandma came to the door. I said, hey, can I bring you some food? No, we're all right. And she said, I got to get out of here. And her granddaughter cussed out Mom. Mom came to church first time this year, 2 weeks ago, but I couldn't find her. And she sat down with an ex that she used to shack with. Well, he run her off. I picked them up yesterday. And they heading there's a grocery store not too far, but they got to climb a hill like crazy. I said, how y'all going to get home? Because I took them down there. Well, the girl that's sitting in the back seat, I said, how you treating your mom? You still cussing her out? That little girl's 15. She can't read a lick. She's not even going to school. She's going to camp with us Monday. There's the battle. There's the battle. Because no reading, no confidence at all. And so anyway, Mom walked home that Sunday. So I picked her up. I said, hey. And I asked Grandma, I said, when can I come over and read the Word? You can come anytime. You hear the open door? Because we brought some food. When can I come back and read the Word? Because that's my goal. Provide something, when can I come back? But they've got a place to stay. And whereas a lot of folks that show up, they're just on the street and never know, they can't tell you where they are from one night to the next. And that's tough. And that's the easy question. What are a clown? I mean, all of them clowns. Because they're all like us. There's an educator over here. He had a bunch of clowns. And teachers were a bunch of clowns. Hey, thanks for letting me show up. Glad you guys are singing, and you're praying, you're giving, and you're loving, you're caring. Kindness is evident. And people are showing up because you care. And I know Steve does a great job, challenges with the word, but you've got some friends that want to be here with you. And so keep it up. No other questions?
Sir, I just had one thing. Since I've been serving with y'all, one thing that I've seen is kind of impetus for if everybody could have a snack pack in their car. Because there's a lot of situations that elders deal with on a monthly, weekly basis that is never seen by all y'all. They deal with everybody that is hard up, that asks for money. They deal with everybody that needs a little bit of food. They deal with people that don't have a place to stay. And they give up their time and their money and their energy and their effort. And if everybody could just have a snack pack in their car, and when you find out about something, you ask the elders. They'll tell you, they can pull you aside and tell you, hey, who needs a little bit of help? And if everybody helped out a little bit, it would shoulder some of that burden that they carry and that they deal with, because there's a lot that goes on behind closed doors that I never realized that happens in a church. And even a small church like this, all of those things go to the eldership. And so I want to say thank you. I appreciate everything you do.
That's a great idea. And what's the statement? More hands, lighter the... And one thing we don't put in our pack, we should be, I don't see it in there, is Ridgecrest Church of Christ card. Put that in the pack. They may throw it down.
You know, you've mentioned several times about how you pray with people. And so sometimes, honestly, I think we get too busy when we help people, and we just give them the help, and then it's over and you go on. And I think that we have to remember on that part is to utilize that time and try to offer it anyway, and try to have a time to have a prayer and maybe read some scripture. And it's easy to overlook that because
Sure
you're
is.
in a hurry and you think it's taken care of and you go.
I've been picking up 3 kids for 6-8 years. And when the Tulsa Fair comes, they have birthday parties, and they can't pay a water bill. Because they put all of that into Tulsa State Fair, and they don't have any finances, and she calls. And so the question I always ask, would I help her with my own finances? You know, it's easy to say, hey, Reg, pay this bill. It's easy to ask, but would I pay personally myself for that motel room? And with that thought, then I'm gonna investigate a little bit more. And not judging, but just be wise as a steward. And sometimes, even though I know she's been to the fair, I know the family, I know the Bible, I know the birthdays, and I know where they're spending their money because the kids get on the van and they tell me what all's been going on. And I said, well, yeah, I know who's going to be calling. And so I didn't pick them up one Sunday. I was worn out, because I have to go. It's quite a ways. I was worn out. And Mom will always, I have 2 people that always say, the kid's ready to go to church. And if I don't hear from her, I know they're gone. I know they're not available. But she'll let me know every time. Now, I've got another family that does the same thing. And I said, man, that is neat, because most of them, they don't let you know, and you show up and say, well, we're not going today. Man, I tell her, because she works weekends. Every weekend she's working. And so she's been there a few times when she's not working, but what she thinks of Contact is huge. And then we have a Christmas store that is huge. And I need to talk to you guys about that Christmas store, and you guys may want to be involved with that. And because we can't operate the Christmas store without people giving. And so that's a huge blessing too. And because we'll provide Christmas for 500 kids. And that's huge. And they're buying the toys, they're buying the gifts, they're buying all that stuff. We used to just give it. But when a kid, you're teaching one of you guys, when somebody's teaching a Bible class, elementary age, said, hey, tell me a neat Christmas story memory, or Christmas time memory. And the girl said, we wouldn't have Christmas without Contact. I said, man, how huge is that? Have no idea. This same girl I'm telling you about, I changed her name to PC. PC stands for Pole Climber. And her sister said, Ron, why do you call her PC? I said, come on, you know why I call her PC? She had a baby, 90, and the problems that little old boy has, 97% of them don't make it. Will not make it. He's a dwarf. That's all right. But he's got all the internal stuff. They've got him on life support. But here's what she told, because I took a buddy with me to visit them. She said, you're the only ones that have come to see me. Because she doesn't have a family. She doesn't have a family of God. She's those kids you guys taught. That you hugged. That y'all hugged. And that kindness goes everywhere. I like that idea. Building these snack packs. And everybody's got them in their car. And finding somebody and say, hey, can I pray with you? And this guy today was the only guy in my experience that said, what for? Why do you want to pray? I didn't answer him. I just said, I guess because God loves me. I want to thank him for your bones. But he didn't know what to think about that. That's all right, because I'm going to go back again. I'm going to text him I'm coming. Let him know ahead of time. Let him know I show respect. I'm not judging him at all. So I don't want, none of us ever want to do that. None of us. And I don't even want this little girl sitting in my van Monday. She said, that's racist. I said, what's the difference in racism and prejudice? I don't know. I said, I don't think it's racism. I think it's prejudice. We're all prejudiced. I don't care. We've got prejudice in us. My mom had prejudice in her, swinging bones. She came to St. Louis and visited with her, had a little baby about that big, and I handed that baby. That baby was a little black baby, beautiful, and I handed that to my mom. What happened to that prejudice, Mom? And what we do is change that. Let God change my heart. And that's part of the helping, kindness, serving everywhere. Pack ministry. Everybody grab a snack pack. Let's go serve. Help the cause. And say, hey, that snack pack came from this church down the road here. Love to see you. And what a blessing. Good comment, man. Anything else? Class over, Steve. gone over time. In
We appreciate you very much.
I appreciate you taking care of us and your kindness that we get to show up in the hood. What a blessing.
If you look at the website, the Contact Church website, there's a ton of information on there about their events and their camps and the different things. So let us know about the Christmas.
Yeah.